There's a threat in the world today. A threat to our way of living, a threat to our society, and maybe even a threat to our very existence. And what is this threat?
And with that being said, where do you go for all the happenings for all sports needs? Sorry.
BWSPORTS1.com. That's where you get all the happenings.
That is correct. And they, like I said before, they are going to be announcing their winner for the Indians game come Wednesday.
Contest. So you still got time to enter.
No, you're done there. Yeah,
done?
So they're going to draw it Wednesday.
Well, if you weren't in, you missed out on a couple good seats.
Still
with
like
the one in the ass.
And I'm sure it's going to be a fun game.
Oh yeah.
So
it's
but
always
still
a
like
good time
the page, please, if you haven't already. If you're one of our fans, definitely hop over there, like their page. If somehow you hopped over here and one of their fans don't like our page, do the same. And if you're checking us out for the first time, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy what we're throwing at you.
Dan says it's
Marion County Crusaders.
May 18th. They're going out to the track before the Marion County, or after the Marion County Crusaders game.
Before Marion, yeah, no, it's before they head out. He worded that a little weird.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing.
Come on, Dan.
Come on, Dan. So before we go out to the Marion Crusaders game, we'll be out on the track doing a little. May 18th, is that that's gonna be bump day, right? I don't know. That's the week after.
That's the weekend after the Grand Prix.
Yeah, so that's bump day. That's the week before. I don't know. I can't remember what they're doing Sunday. I can't remember.
Yeah, they're doing something weird.
They switched it up. I posted it and I can't remember to save my life.
Yeah. So now that we're in segment 2, we'll do a little rundown on little local racing. Speedrome will be canceled this evening. Right. They're going to postpone, and they're actually going to race tomorrow on Easter Sunday.
They are. Do you know time?
I want to say it starts. Spectator gates open up at like 3 or something.
I got you. So get your Easter egg hunt out in the morning. Get your lunch in with your family. Get your ham in.
You can go out and catch some racing out at Speedrome.
Yeah, maybe the Easter Bunny will be out there.
Yeah. Whiteland Raceway is canceled today too, and they said they will have a makeup rain date, but it's to be determined at a later time.
Yep, they're gonna observe the holiday tomorrow and take off.
All right, and Mr. Rance is on here. They've canceled all racing activity out Ingalls today.
Yep, I was unfortunate. I was gonna take the kids out there.
Yeah, which the way it looks out, even if it wasn't raining,
I wouldn't have taken it. It's cold, too cold for the little one at least.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
But yeah, so local racing and the surrounding areas is pretty much shut down today.
Yep. Yeah, and more than likely, with the exception of the Speedrome, they'll be shut down tomorrow in observance of Easter. And that's why we're on today instead of tomorrow. Because I'm sure during the normal checkers and records at 11 o'clock on Sundays, we will be probably hunting Easter eggs.
Yeah, I think
fun stuff.
I think me and Pops is going to work on the go-kart tomorrow.
I thought you said you guys were going to hunt Easter eggs.
No, we're not going to hunt Easter eggs. We're going to work on the go-kart and get it ready.
Can you imagine being your neighbor looking at seeing you and your dad hunting for Easter eggs in the front?
Because they're planning on getting the cart out. May 2nd is going to be their first race.
Where are they going to go out?
Probably Whiteland.
Nice.
And Steve Knight is going to be his driver, which Steve works at Comet Kart Sales.
Nice.
So, if you need any karting needs, you can go out to Comet and Steve will take care of you, or Rex or Mark Harrison or any of the nice guys out at Comet Kart Sales, which they've been in business. I can remember being a little feller. I was little at one time.
I was going to say, were you like 2?
Yeah, about 1.5.
Yeah, exactly.
And my dad raced, so I remember going out to Comet when I was a kid. So Comet's been in business for a long time. They do in-house any engine work you need done. They can build you an engine. They can rebuild your current engine, new used chassis. I mean, whatever you need, Comet gets it done. So I'm excited to see Dad get the cart out on the track and Steve take it around and do some laps in it.
God, nice. Yeah, that'd be fun to. Hopefully, we can check out something at Whiteland there. And
Oh yeah, definitely. So if Andy O'Gare or Sarah Fisher's watching Checkers and Wreckers, which we are kind of a big deal,
keep my
so
fingers crossed
they might be. Tommy Boy and I would love to do a show down at Whiteland. So
Absolutely.
if we can make that happen, we are 150% down to do that.
Yep. So I like 150%. Then yeah, absolutely. So, with that being said, let's hop into a little
F1.
Yeah, not a lot of racing this week per se.
Yeah, since there's not really any racing going on, we're just kind of doing a free for all second segment where we're just going to discuss some things and talk about some racing.
I read a lot on the internet, so I got some.
I get 500 text messages a day. I'm at work and bing, bing, bing. I was like, hold up.
You can tell when I'm going to the bathroom, can't you?
I didn't need to know that. I did not need to know that.
Cart number will be 06K. There,
06K.
06K. Is that an old number?
No, that's my old number was 17. Dad won't run it, which I don't care if he did or not, but he won't run it. 06K is actually Steve's number because Steve actually has a cart of his own that he races out at Newcastle, and he runs for points out at Newcastle. So him and Dad's deal will be Whiteland, and I think they're going to run the Beach Grove race at the high school, which I believe Checkers and Wreckers will be there for that.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
So that's Father's Day.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have fun out there. I'm going to try to get my dad out there. The kids will be
out there. My dad will be there.
Your dad be out there.
Which I spoke to your mother at work the other day because Tommy Boy's mother and brother and I all work together. But I told her we were going to do the show at the Beach Grove race, and for her and your dad to come on over. So
I'm sure Pops has no problem doing that.
No, not
he
at all.
He enjoys that.
Oh yeah. But so getting into F1 news, what kind of F1 news you got there, Tommy Boy?
So and as I'm diving more into F1, as we
you're getting addicted to F1.
I'm liking it a little more. I don't like the dominance of certain teams, but hey,
it's a different style racing.
It is. But I learned that Jill DeFerrin is McLaren's president of operations or something like that.
Which Jill DeFerrin's an ex-IndyCar driver.
Exactly,
ran for Team Penske.
94? He drank the orange juice. That's it. Gil DeFerrin is Jill DeFerrin. Gil, sorry. But he's
Are you thinking of the movie New Guy, Gil?
It's been so long since I've seen that movie. My goodness, what a blast from the past there. Wow. So, but so I learned Jill DeFerrin is still around, but doing a little F1. Like I said, he's famous for drinking the orange juice and making Indianapolis angry after the 500.
No, I thought that was Mo that drank the orange juice.
But it was. You're right. Yep, you're right.
Mo that drank the orange juice.
You are correct. I apologize. Yes,
because he owns orchards.
Exactly. That's right. Yep. I apologize on that. But yeah, he says McLaren is going to regain their P1 and P2 with the current drivers now that they have. So Sainz and
Norris.
Thank you, Norris.
Philip Norris.
So, do you think that's possible? It's hard. Maybe 2 and 3, or 3 and 4. But I don't
maybe 9th and 10th. Because I don't see Carlos Sainz for one being that driver to be up there running in the top 5. The Norris kid, though, he has looked pretty impressive this year. So, but McLaren's not the team to compete with Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, unless they have a trick in their back pocket that I don't know about.
Right, and maybe it is just to keep entertainment, or
that's probably just get some publicity out for the team.
But I mean, they're saying they're coming into and they're finding that power there with Renault, and it seems that the people that are driving the Renault cars, with that power, that they're saying Renault is kind of
McLaren is a Renault team,
right? That they're kind of finding that Renault is like, hey, maybe they flipped that switch.
Well,
we found our
like I've been saying, that Renault is in. They keep saying that 2020 is going to be their season.
Mm-hmm. I can see, especially with the 2 drivers they have in the actual Renault team.
So I mean, and there's no question that the Renaults have some power, and they've shown it at times, but their reliability has definitely been in question. Because you got to figure, up until this year, Red Bull, Verstappen, and Ricardo last year, they ran Renault power.
They did, yep.
And they won races. They, you know, put it on the pole. They had podium finishes. So the Renault engine does have the power.
Right. No, I completely agree. But like you said, it's the reliability. But this year, I don't think we've seen any of that reliability. Well,
Yeah, we have.
Carlos Sainz in the first, yeah, he did. He got on fire. And
Ricardo in the first race lost the motor.
Did he lose more? I thought that was on him. I thought he got jumbled up in that first lap. Mayhem.
I thought he ended up losing the motor at the end.
You might be correct on that. He did get tied up in the that mayhem there first lap, I believe. But like they're saying they are coming into their own. They're finding that power. So maybe they have turned a corner there. I don't think anybody's going to beat Mercedes this year. I think that's going to be a hard one. They're already taking off way ahead.
Daniel says if we want to test the phone theory, we can call him.
But I don't have anything plugged in. I'd have to reach around everything. But I think maybe
the
Renault
phone guest we had lined up, he has in-laws in town and wasn't able to do it, but we have agreed to do it at a later date.
Right. So, but yeah, I think Renault has possibly turned a corner there. So, Tim Kastner, hello, buddy. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. Thank you for joining us here. Appreciate it.
Will we see Lambo in F1? I don't foresee Lamborghini in F1 because to my knowledge, I don't know of Lamborghini ever being involved in F1. You know, why Lamborghini's known more for the sports car aspect, and now that Formula One's gone to 6-cylinder engines, I don't think Lamborghini even produces a car that has a 6-cylinder engine, so they would have to completely redesign something. So no, I don't see Lamborghini being a manufacturer in Formula One.
I think
I could be wrong on that.
It'd be hard for another manufacturer, I think, to jump into the game. It's just, I mean, Chevy might be one that I could see.
It's funny you say that. No, I wouldn't see Chevy in there at all.
Team with Haas.
No, I don't think Chevy wants to jump in with all the sharks. I mean, that's
a little tuna hopping into the sharks.
That's a big field right there, and being an American manufacturer, because Americans already aren't loved in F1, so I'm sure they really don't like Haas being there.
Well, that's right. Might as well team it up there. Just give them. But if you're going to give them one middle finger, might as well throw both up.
I don't see Chevy. I would see Ford doing it before Chevy did.
Okay, no, and I mean, yeah, I could see that as well. I guess
I could see Ford possibly getting back into IndyCar because there for years you had Ford. The Cosworth motor was a Ford.
Yep.
So,
or like we were talking about before, I mean, possibly Toyota. So I guess Toyota could be a manufacturer that could possibly in F1. I mean, Toyota's up in their racing, so maybe that is something that we
was Toyota in F1 before?
Not that I know of, but I could be wrong.
I want to say they were involved in F1 before. I thought maybe, but I could be wrong on that too.
Gotcha. So I guess maybe there could be, but it'd have to be a big manufacturer that's already involved. Like, is Lamborghini, do they do IMSA? Do they do
Lamborghini does do IMSA.
Okay
That's what I said. They're more into the sports car field. They
don't want to redevelop something that
and even their IMSA team, it's not one of the prototype cars. It's more a Lamborghini, I don't know, whatever the model is, and they might put a couple ground effects and a wing on it and some slap some decals and junk on it, and there you go. But yeah, I mean, F1 is I was watching a documentary on Ferrari today. It was what was it called? Ferrari: The Rise of Immortality or something like that. And it was talking about Enzo Ferrari and in the 1950s and stuff like that. And you look at some of the manufacturers that were in Grand Prix racing back then. You had Maserati, you had Jaguar.
I like how you said Jaguar.
See, I was gonna say you like that.
Yeah, I did.
I'm hip to the lingo.
Yeah, right. But I'm calling them Gil, and you're saying Jaguar.
Jaguar. But so I mean, there's been other manufacturers in F1, but it's just such a expensive stage to get into.
I would think if somebody like that was to hop in it, they'd have to know that they had a top performing car and that they were going to be able to get into it.
They would have to get with like but who do you get with? I mean, about the
Williams. Say, hey, dude, let's reinvent the wheel here. We got to do something.
Red Bull. I mean, because you got to figure
that.
Honda's in Formula One right now because that's what Red
Toro
Bull.
Rossi.
Yeah, Toro Rosso.
Rosso, yes, Rossi. I'm looking over at him there.
Yeah, yes. Dan, don't be hating because I know how to say Jaguar.
I don't know if Nissan would. They're more of like rally, and they're an IMSA as well.
Yes.
I just don't know if they had because once again the funds are a big.
I would like to see Nissan possibly get into IndyCar.
See, and that's where I was thinking more so than F1 is that like Toyota, Nissan.
Yeah,
I could see that more so in IndyCar. So,
but getting back to that, you know, that Ferrari special I was watching, I just have to say, man, guys that race those cars in the 50s, I mean, they had balls like this big.
Oh, that's an under. That's an under. Guys,
I mean, because
they
like
were 2000s.
They were going out there, and they would just have like a button-up like dress shirt on, you know, short sleeve button-up dress shirt and some pants, and they would and when they started back then, that's what was wild. You know, the cars would be lined up on this side of the track. All the drivers were on this side of the track, and then they, you know, set them off, and you have to run over, get in your car, fire it up, and take off.
I was reading on that too. So they said there was people that wouldn't fasten their belts completely.
No, they didn't. They didn't wear belts because they said they didn't want to wear the belts because if the car flipped or got upside down or whatever, they would rather be thrown from the car than being trapped in underneath the car.
Oh, that was Niki Lauda.
And they were showing some of these guys from the 50s the history of Ferrari. It's kind of morbid, really. I mean, because like Enzo Ferrari, his father died. Then like a month later, his brother died. And then when him and his wife had their son, Dino Ferrari, which there's a car named after him, he died. He died, you know, he had not in a car accident. He had disease and he died. And then all these Ferrari drivers that had been killed. I mean, there was like 6 drivers in the 50s that drove Ferraris that died.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy there.
And I mean, they were showing some of these wrecks, and like, I want to say the race is called like the Mille Miglia or something like that. I might have my Italian enunciation wrong, something like that. But it was a 1,000-mile race around this town in Italy on the outskirts of it. And a Ferrari driver ended up dying at this race. He had come into the pits, and they told him and said, hey, you know, we got some body damage back here, and it's kind of close to the tire. I want to change the tire. And he's like, no. But he was dating this American actress. Well, he's seen her, and she come down. They had this big, long, romantic kiss. But you didn't have time to change the tire. So he's coming to the finish line.
Priorities.
He's coming to the finish line and can see the finish line, and the tire blows, and it kills him and his co-driver, and it got in the crowd and killed 8 people, and 5 of them were children. Wow. And that was the last time they ran that race. Yep. But, I mean, it was just, I'm watching this, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of morbid thinking of all these drivers that died driving a Ferrari.
And the fact that Ferrari's still around today.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You would and like you said, I mean, these guys back there and before racing, the safety measures were put into place for racing. They threw it out there. They if you've seen
there was no safety.
Exactly. If you've seen the movie Rush, that's what Niki Lauda says when he gets married. He says after that he should have never really gotten into that because then he had concern for his body. He had somebody else out there that was worried about him, and then he worried.
Well, see, and that's what Enzo Ferrari was saying. He said that he didn't want his drivers to get involved with the girl or get married or anything like that because then they were involved with something other than the race car.
Exactly.
To Enzo Ferrari, it was all about the race car, and he said that his number 1 driver was whoever finished best on that Sunday.
Right.
And he had, like, back in the 50s, he had 5 drivers. Yeah, he would field 5 cars.
I'm sure they were all throwing it down too. I mean, you're throwing it in Ferrari.
He would go out and find studs, and he'd have 5 studs driving Ferraris. Right. And I mean,
No, that is pretty crazy though. That's interesting.
'Cause
Did you
he
say that
had-
was on Netflix there?
Yeah, no, it's on Stars.
Check that out if you got Stars. I'm sure that's pretty interesting.
Ferrari, The Rise of Immortality. Yeah, it was here. I'm thinking I'm just gonna watch, them talking about the different Ferraris through the years, and I was like, okay.
A little different.
It was.
Not maybe friendly or family friendly.
I mean, there wasn't really any cussing or anything like that in there, but you will see like some of the crashes they would show, they were graphic.
Right.
I mean, you would see the guy laying there, but
That's what when I was watching Senna, Addison was watching that with me, and they show that wreck, and you just see his head kind of just laying there. And she goes, "He fell asleep." I said, "Yeah, you could say that on the wheel." But yeah, you could. I mean, like I said, even where Senna in the '90s. I mean, look how far safety has come in these race cars. Now it's safer. Back you would never say it was safer to wreck a race car on the track than it was to wreck your car on the road. Now it is safer to wreck a race car on the track than it is to wreck your car on the road, I think. Would you agree with me on that?
Pretty much.
I really do think so. I mean, unless you get into that fence, I mean, most of these guys, they step out, they're walking. These guys, before, it didn't happen like that. Was it Danny and Gaius? There's a picture in the museum there, 500, and he's going over the yard of bricks, and he's in the air, and his legs are hanging out of the car. I mean, it's coming down.
Well, like Mark Dismore, which owns Comet Kart Sales, we were talking about. I still have the National Kart News magazine from when he got in his wreck out at the Speedway, and they did still shots, like frame by frame shots of the wreck, and you can see at one point, because when he wrecked, he lost it coming out of 4, and he ended up hitting the wall coming into the pits. He hit the wall like this, and then the car went airborne. As he's spinning, you can see knock the front nose off, and you can see his legs hanging out of the car.
Yeah, that's. I don't think you would see that today, because that is all that one cockpit. It's all single. I mean, it's
no. I don't think you would see it like. And we were discussing earlier. I mean, the cars are totally different than what they ran back then.
Right. Yeah. The old, like, you're not going to hear an accelerator sticking. You're not going to.
No.
That stuff's not going to happen back then. So. Which
hard for an accelerator stick when it's all electronic now.
Gremlins.
Yeah.
You never know.
But I'm sure they have some kind of override.
Right. But going forward in F1 news, and we'll keep it quick here. Hulk says Ricardo is coming into his own here.
Nico Hulkenberg.
Yeah, and he says he's going to give him some trouble here. So I like that. I think these two, they seem like they're getting along a lot better than Ricardo and Verstappen did. So
yeah, Verstappen's kind of a hole.
I was gonna P.
Yeah.
But yes, so I do. I think if these two can race together and they can find it and that reliability is there, I think I'm going to be correct with that Renault best of the rest thing.
Possibly.
And they might even end up. It's going to be hard to beat Verstappen, but you're going to be in front of Gasly every race. So, I mean, can you put it into third possibly if you're consistent coming through to these last 7-8 races?
I mean, yeah, I definitely like Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, he's one of my favorite drivers in F1. Like we've discussed before, he come from a karting background, so automatically I like the kid. And Mark Hogan and I were talking at Ingles that time we was over there, which I didn't know. Ricardo's not one of these rich kids. He didn't come from money or anything like that. He come from Perth, Australia, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And not that he was poor, but he wasn't well off either. But when he coming through the karting ranks and everything like that, I guess Renault was the one that kind of helped pay the way and bring him along and develop him. And that's kind of how he got into that Red Bull Renault situation. So I think that's why when he was talking about leaving Red Bull and Red Bull was talking about getting rid of Renault, I think that's why Ricardo went to Renault,
right,
to keep that loyalty. But yes, I can, if Renault puts the car underneath Ricardo, I can definitely see him doing great things. And, they're saying 2020 is their year. So
Both those drivers are on the docket for 2020.
Does that mean that Ricciardo's going after a championship in 2020?
I think or does that mean Nico Hulkenberg can go after a championship in 2020?
I think Ricciardo's definitely the better driver of the two.
I agree with you.
And I'm not knocking Nico Hulkenberg, but I Ricciardo has competed at this level. He has won races. He has, got pole positions. He has podium finishes.
Right.
And he's used to being able to run up front and compete, and he wants to get back to that.
Right. No, I'm with you there. I agree with you. So, and then, so I was reading a little, the F1 world is lighting up with news out of Ferrari right now. So, I mean, you got the people, their race coordinators, they're telling Vettel, or they're telling Leclerc to back Vettel, and then let Vettel pass.
No.
And he did it. He did it.
Oh, I know.
So people are kind of getting on Vettel and saying, hey, do you need Ferrari to do this for you and put you up there? And he says he's still at the top of his game. I don't think he is necessarily.
I think Vettel is still a top tier driver, but Ferrari just doesn't have, they're missing that little bit.
I think Vettel, if he just shut up and drive, he'd be so much better.
Well, but he's never going to do that.
No, and that's the thing.
Vettel's going to, and he's made it clear he's not happy with Ferrari right now.
Very clear.
He's made it clear.
Very clear.
And if he can't go out and win races, he will throw the car, the team, everybody under the bus, and he doesn't care.
And
he did it at Red Bull.
Yep. Oh yeah.
He's done it at Ferrari.
I don't see. I think that at the end of the day can take you down. I think we're going to see, and Leclerc says he's a completely different racer, which he is. But he's pretty much coming out and saying, we're not using the same cars.
Daniel.
And he pretty much said, the way I read it, at least, that Vettel right now is a better driver. Obviously, he's the novice. He's the guy that's been
world champion.
But Leclerc,
not the current world champion, but he has been world champion.
I think the car setup right now for Leclerc is just his driving style. I think it's set up faster. I think it is like that.
Well, I think Leclerc, being a rookie, he's being a rookie at Ferrari. So with that being said, I think he's going to drive a little bit over his head and try to get these results so he secures that ride and keeps that ride at Ferrari. Because if I remember right, I think he's only got a 1-year deal.
Yep, and somebody's nipping at his heels.
Yeah.
Nipping. Were you wondering what I was doing there?
I mean, there's always a driver waiting to fill a seat at Ferrari.
Well, you know what I'm talking about there. I mean, we talked about it. Schumacher's right there.
Mick Schumacher.
He says he's not going to rush in there, and I don't think he will. But that seat comes open. It's hard to say that that's not his.
And I guess I really can't say till, a little bit farther in the season. But if Leclerc can produce results and doesn't bash the team, and keeps moving forward and progressing, where Vettel's not doing much and constantly bad-mouthing the team and stuff like that, I can see Vettel being the odd man out.
Oh, absolutely.
And Schumacher taking Vettel's seat.
Yep, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. So, and that, like you're saying with Leclerc there, the professionalism for a young guy like him to hop out of the car right after that race, and they asked him, they said, how do you feel about them telling you to back up for Vettel? And he says, I need to talk to the engineers. It's like he stopped back. He didn't, in his head, he's thinking, no, I don't want to.
Well,
you don't want to back up. You don't want to let.
At the end of the day, bottom line is Vettel is the #1 driver at Ferrari.
And they're racing at that point. They're racing for the manufacturer more so than themselves, because you're not going to win that race. Mercedes is way up there,
right?
So they're saying Vettel had a better chance at the end of the race to win for points. So
yeah, they're and not knocking Leclerc, but the order at Ferrari is Vettel 1, Leclerc 2.
Right. No, I'm with you, especially right now with his first year, like you said. I mean, they put a young dog under Vettel for a reason, I think. I mean, they knew what they were doing there. Learn from him. And I'm sure they talk to him every day. Do not talk like him. Don't get into that. Which, look, Vettel doesn't seem like he's a guy to really take you under a wing. I doubt he's giving him too much help.
No.
So,
I don't think they're best of friends.
No,
I'm sure they're not going out after the race and having a beer at the local pub.
I would highly doubt that. There's an interesting picture too of the Ferrari, like the race president or whatever. He's sitting on pit road and he's watching the Mercedes do their double stack in China. I thought that was pretty interesting. It was like, okay, you want to watch the team do it there, and just the way the person took the picture, it just looked perfect. I mean, it's like, yeah, you want to watch a team do it here, watch. So, and you talk about an impressive pit stop. That was. Did you see that? The double stop in China. I saw somebody replayed it. And Bottas, he's going around. He's like, guys, please don't screw me here, because Hamilton's already in the pit.
Oh, when both Mercedes
double stack them,
I did see that.
That's a heck of a. I mean,
I didn't know what you're talking about there at first.
You get Hamilton off of that, and Bottas is pulling up. Boom, he's right behind. Whew, that's sweet. That looked good.
I mean, their pit stops. I mean, it's amazing to watch. They're so synchronized and everything's perfect.
Oh, until you get those ones where they're not even there.
Yeah.
The car pulls up and the guys are running out of the thing like, oh, shoot, we forgot to go.
Yeah, but, like Mercedes and Ferrari and Red Bull, they pull up, their guys are on it, cars fueled, tires changed, and they're gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's quick.
Like, what is it?
3-4 seconds?
3-4, yeah. I was going to say 3-4 seconds, and they're in and out.
They showed Senna do a pit, and side by side, like Hamilton. And Senna's over there. He's talking to the guy. Like that. He's in there for like 13, 14 seconds. And then Hamilton, boom, 4 seconds, gone. See ya.
I seen I don't know if it was this year or last year, but I seen a video when Vettel come in the pit, and the front jack man, you can hear Vettel on the radio yelling at him, "Hey, no, you're scratching the bottom. You're scratching the bottom." And I mean, he's just giving this pit guy the business, and I'm like, "Damn, dude."
Yeah, see, and I mean, that's part. I think that could be. I think maybe part of the Ferrari's issue is maybe they're. I mean, you get a guy that's bad in the locker room, bad in anything like that.
He's a cancer.
Exactly. I mean, you start to shred and you start.
But then again, a lot of these drivers, they don't really talk to anybody. They go out. They come out of their motor home or wherever. Well, I don't think you really have motorhomes in F1 like you do NASCAR and IndyCar, but they come out of wherever they're back hiding
they're
at.
Ritz-Carlton.
And come get in the car, go out, do whatever, practice, qualify, come back in, and then go walk off.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, for F1's a very different animal.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And then, so here's another thing I learned doing all my reading there. Is Prost is now Renault's advisor. So I didn't know Alan Prost or Alain.
That's a good analogy, Daniel.
Is it Alain? Alan? It's Alain, the guy that was Senna's teammate.
Oh, Alain Prost?
Alain? Okay. So he is Renault's advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And he says these Renault, the reliability issue was unavoidable. He says with growth, as you I guess try new things to get faster as you do these things, you're going to have these issues. And he says they've worked past it. So that's kind of like what I was talking about there before. But it kind of blew my mind that you see all these old guys in racing, that they're advisors and they're still in the scene, but we're not just.
Well, Niki Lauda is still around, and he's with, is it Mercedes?
Is he with Mercedes there?
I think so.
I saw a interview I was doing, watching a video with him, and he got big. I don't think he can fit in the F1 car anymore. He's it looks like two of me there.
No, not Niki Lauda.
Maybe I was thinking at least the older version. He looked pretty big. Not two of me, but I don't know if he'd fit in the car anymore. At least from what
I think he would.
I gotcha. Maybe I was looking at somebody else, but I could have sworn that was him there. So, but they're like we were talking about. Really, that is, I guess, all the F1 news. You got anything else there?
Not really.
So, like we were talking about there before, McLaren, full-time manufacturer, and IMSA. So that's interesting. We kind of spoke on that, but
what power plant are they using?
That I have no idea. I saw the headline there and did a little quick glance. I was just kind of excited to see McLaren's kind of. I guess I'm not going to say putting the money because I've already put the money, but putting the time and effort. I mean, they're getting more deep into what they're already deep into.
So I wonder if that's setting up because Alonso has been running some sports car stuff.
So could that be?
So could that be they're creating a ride for Alonso and IMSA?
I'll tell you what, you throw Alonso, Elio, and
I don't want to see
Juan
Elio.
Pablo Montoya on the racetrack together in those IMSAs. That's an interesting race.
Yeah.
That's a fun race right there to watch. You might have something something cooking up there.
Don't forget about the Taylor boys. They're tough too. I mean, IMSA's got some drivers in it.
Oh no, you're right. I'm just saying, just as far as like these old, and they're old, but they're not old, but
they're,
the older drivers of the past there that we saw. I grew up with, I guess. So they're kind of going into IMSA, and that kind of makes it interesting. And
which Montoya and Alonso's already raced against each other before.
Well, right, yeah, in F1, yeah. Who did Montoya run for in F1?
It was McLaren, wasn't it?
Was it? Honestly, I couldn't stand Montoya.
I can picture the car. It was silver and black. I'm pretty sure it was a McLaren car.
Gotcha. And we were talking about Sato in F1 the other day. I saw a video there. It says Sato just causes hate or chaos in F1, and he takes this turn, this hairpin, and he wipes out like 6 cars. It was pretty funny. It was like, whoa. Way hot there, Marco.
Polo.
Exactly.